When I tell y'all Goshay came in with a full agenda this season to unearth all of Tamika and Usher's allegations in business. But y'all, I thought Tamika was going to be the villain this season, but it looked like Goshay finna take her spot. All right, Maleficent. Let's get into episode 2 of Bold and Bougie on wetv, y'all. Hey, it's your girl Tammy. Welcome back. Welcome back, Question Crew, and welcome new ones. Don't forget to come in and like the video. Don't forget to like the video. We want to make sure that the views match the likes. I know y'all be liking it. I know y'all be seeing it. I'm seeing some interesting happenings, and I see the comments. So don't forget to like the video when you're in here. It helps YouTube with the views and for us to get the community spread and more people join the Question Crew. It costs you nothing. I appreciate y'all. Anyway, let's focus on the episode at hand, honey, because we want to focus on the fact that we're still on this black pool party / backyard barbecue. Let's be honest. Go say this was not Black Aspen. I don't know what this is, honey. There wasn't even any decorations, no fake snow. We talked about it before. It was a get together and it was mostly amongst friends. So who were we actually showing a line to? We never even got to see the grits. So the girls are still focused because Tamika has now left the party, and we know right before she left there, she kind of came in with a little bit of a bang because she walked up to Crystal and had this conversation about the fact that she's friends with Mayetta and wanted to know, like, what's Crystal's situation there and what happened. And Crystal is exhausted at this point with the narrative that she stole Neo or took Neo from her Mayetta. We all know that much like he did on Crystal, Nigo cheated on Mayetta for a large part of their relationship and ultimately had, all types of happenings going on. And ultimately, both of these women are passed and moved on from this man. Crystal's the only one that actually has been married to him. Mayetta was the person that was engaged to him, and he was cheating on her in that situation. Hell, the mama didn't even care for her that much going on early on in the situation. Y'all remember his mama was on Wendy Williams? And she went and asked Wendy that she don't like the girlfriend and she want to know what she need to do about it. Ooh, I wish they had Wendy's clip still on TV, honey, because they definitely showed it. Anyway, fast forward to the fact that Crystal is over and done with the dynamic. She's like, I did not steal this man from this woman. I'm just the person he dated after. And really the only person we knew publicly that he dated after completely. But he did have somebody in between, because I remember distinctly years ago, Mayetta posting a video with her, Neo, and a girl working out in the weight room. And I don't think that was Crystal, but either way, girl, let's move on from the situation. Mayetta is married and moved on. She's not on the show. Let's stop talking about her. And honestly, she's the most annoying cast member not on the show right now because they keep bringing her up in every conversation. Whether they call her Mo or Mayetta or whatever, it's exhausting and it feels inauthentic. It's starting to feel like she's either going to be on this season or that there's a plan to bring her on next season, and they keep trying to introduce her to us because we don't care. Okay, we like her, but we do not care if she's not on this season. So Crystal is exhausted with the conversation. She just wants to have, meet these women on their own level and meet them for who they are. And a lot of these women are also looking for do-overs. So why y'all chastising this girl? Child, meanwhile, at the witch's coven, I'm just kidding. I'm just saying, I'm trying to get Tamika from underneath this element of being the bad guy, but I don't know. Somehow she just got this villainous spirit that just sits so well with her. Maybe we'll find out she's Maleficent at some point, but right now she is becoming a problem. Anyway, Tamika is back at home and kind of away from the party drama. She has a personal chef there for the day that's like helping to cook stuff while she's running around doing stuff. Can I just say something about that? I really loved seeing this. I would love to see this more on television, and not even just amongst Black women, but especially within our community. I feel like so many women spend so much time trying to show that they can do everything. And I love seeing women take breaks to apply convenience services. Tamika basically says that when she has a lot going on, she gets a personal chef on occasion, not all the time, but gets a personal chef to come in and like fix dinner and things like that. So she doesn't have to keep up with that kind of stuff. And I love to see it. I love us using convenience services sometimes to fill in for things, but we don't have time to do it. Honey, I get groceries delivered. Sometimes people get house cleanings. Whatever your thing is, we're all using convenience services on some level. Not everybody's not washing their car on their own every weekend. Everybody's not doing their own shopping all the time. Everybody's not even doing their own food delivery at this point. Some people just, DoorDash or whatever. So I love seeing people use convenience services, especially busy individuals, period, whether they have kids or not, taking advantage of that. Please do. That is part of self-care. Anyway, fast forward. So Tamika is talking to the chef about all the things she has to get done because apparently she wrote a book. Who knew? I had no idea. Let me know down in the comments if y'all read it because I won't be picking it up. But she recently wrote a book and she is signing books. She's doing book signings and she's also doing a lot with her son's foundation, Kyle, who unfortunately died during a drowning at Lake Lanier. Let's talk a little bit more about that. Now, many of us know Tamika has 5 kids, and she mentions that during the part of her segment. And she also has her oldest son that's there because I believe she's been married twice. Once to Usher, who she was Usher's first wife, but this was her second marriage, and then her first marriage was to her first 2 sons' dad. So she has, I believe she had 3 kids with her first husband and 2 kids with Usher. I could be right or wrong. Let me know in the comments, but I think that's what the case was. Anyway, so she talks about the fact that her son Kyle, which we all infamously and sadly know of the tragic story of her son drowning at Lake Lanier. I believe that it was a boating accident, I believe, or a jet ski situation, very young man. And, it was at Lake Lanier. And at the time when we kind of all heard it, I don't know if y'all knew this. I mean, probably people in Georgia did, but we just saw it as such a tragic accident. And more people focus on the fact that they felt like Usher didn't but Usher rushed to her side. He rushed to the hospital and everything because he was very close to Kyle. I think he went to the funeral. People say he didn't go to the funeral because I remember he did an Oprah interview where he kind of was like talking about how he was pissed off at people saying that he didn't go or wouldn't go. Like, why wouldn't he go if that was her ex-husband? It was a whole bunch of drama with it. I feel like more people focus on that than the fact that Lake Lanier is a death trap. So I'm glad that Tamika brought it up, and I'm really glad they're doing something about Lake Lanier. For many people that don't know, Lake Lanier was a man-engineered lake, so it was not a natural situation, but it is the largest lake in Georgia, and it is maintained by the Army Corps of Engineers. And well, now just say to Georgia as well. But when it was built back in like the 1950s, basically Lake Lanier was, because it was a man-made lake, they had to put it over something reservoir-wise, and they ended up doing it over, I guess, where some people were buried. So from my understanding, the area where Lake Lanier was used to be an unincorporated Black town in the U.S., which is something that was very common back in the day. Black folks would gather or move or try to start their own areas and towns. You have to get incorporated or not. I believe it was unincorporated. However, over time, people started moving out and different things for a whole bunch of darker reasons, child. And so there were people that had graves there because it used to be a town. So there was a cemetery there, things like that. When they were uh, determined that they were going to put a lake there, they did not relocate those bodies, which is what you have to do when you building or constructing something. If you find out that there's a burial ground there, you don't build over that burial ground. But they did not do that. And so a lot of people feel like Lake Lanier is also haunted. As a result, there were other things that were also like not removed completely from there that people end up getting caught on that have been sitting underneath the lake for so long, whether it be parts, all types of old construction things like that sit at the bottom. And a lot of times people's boats and things get snagged on those. And that's what causes a lot of the drownings and things like that and the motor accidents. But many people also believe that there is a haunting that has happened. And Atlanta had a really good episode like a year or two ago before it ended about this entire thing. So anyway, that's the darkness behind Lake Lanier. Shout out to Tamika for trying to get rid of that death trap. Many people in Georgia will not go to it, but they still get a lot of visitors, almost millions a year to that lake. It's crazy, y'all. Okay, so Malaysia meets up with her friend who is opening up like another beauty bar place in Atlanta because they don't have 85 of them in the city limits. And she's meeting up with her friend who I guess has like struggled to keep a previous event space. I mean, not event space, but like a previous business open. I guess it might be a beauty business. And so she's proud of her and she's talking about her own business that struggled. So this is the question I do have. And I'm wondering, somebody down in the comments who's like a hardcore Malaysia stan, let us know. But one, why you're Malaysia, why you're a stand for anybody on reality TV. But number two, what business was Malaysia had before? Because I think what she had, if I'm not mistaken, I think Malaysia opened up a boutique. And so maybe is that the business that she said that didn't work? Because I remember at one point I thought she opened up a place in Charlotte. I thought as like a boutique, a clothing boutique, that she was friends with a girl there, and then she had opened one. And I think Malaysia did something similar, but I don't know if it's open or closed. Y'all let me know. What's the other business Malaysia got going on? Because I don't even remember if they put it down in the title before. Anyway, Malaysia is sitting with her friend Dr. Princess, and y'all can't see it, but y'all feel it in your soul because I'm doing it. I'm mentally bringing it to y'all, but I'm definitely doing question marks as to what's the doctor part for. I don't know if this lady's an MD, so I'm not shading if she is, but I feel like the term doctor is being thrown around loosely, just like it was on Real, just like it was on Love and Marriage Detroit when they kept calling that lady doctor that was a chiropractor, ma'am. Anyway, it was a Dr. Latoya. Anyway, so she calls her Dr. Princess, which is wild to me because I've never heard a professional doctor being called Dr. Princess. So that's what makes it feel like it's just an inauthentic title. That's just kind of like, hey, she got certified to like do lashes and give semaglutide shots. I don't know. Maybe she is an MD and she just has a medical spa, which is maybe what we're looking at. I have no clue. But Malaysia's either proud of her that she's starting another business and that she continues to rise even if you fall. And I do agree with that. Like, hey, every time that you fall, don't let it keep you down too long. And I like the fact that they're both trying to improve in their business. Malaysia then goes on to talk to her about what happened at the party and what did she think about the different girls. Already, I can't front. I get a phony energy from Dr. Princess. And she can't wait to talk about the fact that they had this conversation with Crystal, and again the focus on Mangetta, who is remarried at this point. Who else is exhausted? Raise your hand with this Mangetta conversation. They keep running through the ground. We get it. Your friend used to be engaged to Neo eons ago. They have now teenage children that they had eons ago. He got remarried and had children with another woman that he was actually married to and had 3 kids with this woman, and they are now broken up. But the point remains, they're over here defending their friend in this deep situation. And it's like, y'all don't have to be besties with this girl. But at the same time, stop trying to make Mayetta the main show. She wasn't the main character in Real Housewives of Atlanta. So stop trying to make her the main character here. We get it. Y'all are friends. So, but I don't feel like it would be this big issue around being around this one woman who has really done nothing to the girls. And Malaysia sort of conveys the same feeling. She feels like, yes, I'm trying to get to know Crystal for herself. Yes, she was, she's a part of that dynamic, but I'm trying to give her a chance because I want us all to be cool. So Malaysia wants to throw this classy, ratchet, clatchet tea party, and she decides that she wants to see if she can invite Crystal to get to know her better to kind of help her with the planning of it. She kind of tells Crystal she's helping her plan it before she kind of asks her, and Crystal agrees and like she's open to whatever to like to get to know the girls. Dr. Princess then asked about like the whole situation that happened with Tamika. Apparently, she was a little tipsy at the party, so that's probably why she was running her mouth. And she started singing some weird songs that was throwing everybody off. Either way, we're going to see what happened with Malaysia and Crystal in this whole dynamic because Crystal also has some feelings about it. So then we head across town to Gaucher's many restaurants. Can we talk about Gaucher's many restaurant? Gaucher has lived a life, honey. I saw something um a while back. Yeah, Gaucher is an old school fool. She done been on TV for a minute, honey, and she also apparently she has 4 restaurants in Atlanta. I think she might want to been one of the girls. I'm gonna call them the Candy Girls because I feel like everybody associates with Candy in some capacity in this town. To like open up like this many restaurants in her own place because I think she has like 2 to 3 of the breakfast bars, and she's about to open a tapas bar, which is like an appetizer bar in Atlanta as well. Shout out to Coach J doing a damn thing, honey. And before that, she was hair. She had a hair salon there, so and May still had that child. Go Shay is like, look, I'm about that business. Okay. Every single time I'm going to open up a business because that's what the girls in the land like to do. But her businesses seem to be sustaining. And that's really the important part. Atlanta people, pay attention to Gaucher's Breakfast Bar. I've actually heard that I have not been, but I've heard that the bar is actually really good. So people have been saying that the food is good. It's consistent. Oh, it again. And it's consistently good. And the service is good. So shout out to Gaucher for being a Black entrepreneur in Atlanta with restaurants that stay open longer than 2 weeks, and also whose food is consistent past just Keith Lee visits. I love to see it. So Crystal walks in and she says like, Gaucher is doing the damn thing. The food looks good. She seems to be having a conversation with somebody who's talking to her about what the city of Atlanta is going to do regarding, I think, her new opening. And then Crystal and her sit down and have a chit chat about the girls. So Gaucher and Crystal are having a chit chat about the fact that they really enjoyed the party, but Gaucher wants to know how Crystal is doing because it was her event, but she realizes that the girls kind of put her in the hot seat regarding the Neo situation. Crystal's utterance is the same as always. Like, look, I have no problem discussing it. I don't want my story to be about my ex, but I understand he will come up. But the consistency to constantly just bring him up in every given situation and to bring up a situation y'all don't really know that much about, just to be either using me as the example of whatever you think that happened in your marriage, girl, she was going off. But I understand. And Goshay also said, I'm glad you stood up for yourself. It wasn't necessary energy to bring to the party. Like, live your life and do you. And like, she really kind of had her back in that moment. And even at the party, she sort of defended her a bit. So I appreciate the fact that Goshay was comforting to her. And Crystal says that that's been the energy that she's really appreciated from Goshay. She feels like she's been a mentor a little bit, and that Goshay has really been a friend that's been like, hey, like, I'm not trying to judge you, like, live your life. And at the same time, like, stand up for yourself. So Crystal tells her that she's excited about the fact that she's starting to meet more of the girls. And Tamika's the only person she didn't even meet before that, who also, when she met her, wasn't completely pleasant to her. She said Princess is very sweet, has come across as very nice and very cool. And even Malaysia and her, who's also friends with Monyetta, have managed to kind of become a little bit cool. And she says that, she lets her know that Malaysia invited her to help her plan this Clatchet party, and that hopefully will be like the beginning of a good friendship if they can connect and be cool together. Goshen's a little questionable about it and is like, okay, I guess this could work, but she's not completely trusting this situation. But Crystal's optimistic. She's optimistic to meet a new friend and not be so I guess closed off, and she's open to what the new relationship could bring with Malaysia. Side note, y'all, this is how you do blonde right here. I know Goshay is a professional hairstylist, but this is how you do blonde right here. So I love to see it. I do love blonde hair on Black women. I just feel like we gotta pay attention to the upkeep. So we come back for commercial, honey, and we are back with Goshay, and she is now at the Tapas bar, honey. So she's at the Tapas bar. She's talking to, I guess, an employee or a friend, honey, somebody with a red wig or hairstyle. And Goshay is having a chit chat with her about, just being proud of her entrepreneurship journey and things like that, and how she opened up her other place 5 years ago. And she's just trying to just take it all in. And I think as they're trying to expand, she's just having a discussion with her. But she tells the young lady that she is having an issue with the dynamics that's going on in her family right now. So I don't remember how many children Goshay said she had, but she's talking to us about her two of her grown kids. She has a son and a daughter that both were living together in the same home outside of her home. I think they probably had to be in their early 20s, it seems like, because like I said, go back, honey. Um, and so she said that the kids were living in the same home, I guess, with their kids, or at least the daughter has children, and the house that they lived in burned down. And as a result, Goshay said, well, okay, just move back in with me with the kids. And her daughter moved in with her children, and her son moved in, and then there were clashes. She said her daughter was constantly gone. Even though she has children, I think the daughter has like 3 kids, and the daughter was constantly gone, leaving Goshay with the children to watch. And her and Goshay got into it. And this is a normal dynamic that happens in a lot of families, regardless of race. I think a lot of times you have these issues with kids where when they're living at home with the parent or whatever, it turns into mom is the full-time babysitter, even though you're a grandma. They think that your free time is their free time and all kinds of other stuff. And then you got the kids who feel like, you know, I'm trying to balance out my life and my mother's available to watch the kids, Because I think this is also happening on the Impact New York, where Bernice's daughter tried to get her to watch the granddaughter. She's like, look, I don't have no problem doing that. But then sometimes I got to like do stuff for the business, or because she has like a pajama business that she sells clothes and stuff, and she does appearances. She's like, hey, I got stuff to do. And then you got the grandkids with me all day. Like, I raised you. I'm not raising them kids too. So are there any mamas slash grandmas watching this? Let us know in the comments. Are your kids trusting you out with this situation too? So anyway, Goshay says that basically her daughter doesn't realize that it's a lot of stress to run the businesses. And ultimately, like, I'm a grandmother, I'm not a mother. Like, you're supposed to be here with the kids. You're not supposed to be out running the streets and then coming back when you want to and then watching the kids. She also says that a lot of so when they got into it, her daughter ended up moving out at some point, and now they're kind of estranged. And the daughter hates that they're estranged from the grandkids because she still wants her mother to have the relationship with the grandkids. And Goshay feels the same way. So she said that that's what they had a conversation about. She also talked about the fact that her son, who I guess is around the same age, and her have a little bit of an estrangement because he feels like Goshay wasn't there constantly. Now we got to have a chit chat about this because I feel like this is a bit different than like chasing fame, like the Monique situation with her son versus what Goshay is talking about. And this topic always breaks my heart because there's multiple times that I've seen women who are normally tend to be on the successful side go through this, which is a mom guilt that they feel because they ultimately had to be either mom and dad to the situation or they had to take care of their full household. And so as a result, their estrangement to their kids isn't like I wasn't trying to be a nurturer or be there, but they couldn't be there for everything. And so that kind of is a heartbreaking situation to see so often, really with any single parent, regardless of gender. But I find that Black women and Black parents, especially, I don't say Black women only, but women that end up being single parents. But I feel like this dynamic is unique to Black communities. Bump that. Because I feel like our situation as African Americans is super unique in the fact of how, our families were fractured very early. And I feel like as a result, you saw a lot of households where the mom was responsible for being the provider at some point later on down the line. And ultimately, when you're a provider for a household, you can't be there 24/7. That's why the shared parenthood, positive co-parenting thing, if you end up not being with that person, is helpful because that dynamic is there. That's why it really does take a village. And so when you end up not being there to be there for every single moment, there's a lot of guilt that goes into it. And I think children do need that nurturing, but there's nothing cute about being nurtured from the streets. You know what I'm saying? So that parent has to pay rent, they have to pay light bill, they have to whatever. And even just getting bare minimum, you don't want your child to just have like the basics. And I say basics, I'm not saying like climb for like a ridiculous amount of wealth that you're not paying attention to your kids. But there's nothing fun about raising your kids in a bad environment. There's nothing fun about raising your kids in poverty, but at least we have a roof over our head. So I think for many people that end up being like successful or like climb to get more, and I think the Real BB Judy and the Brat talked about this on their show. You're trying to get your kids to a place where they are safe and sound. And that means you have to go to work. And you have to go to work more often than some people, or you have to, and if you're doing it on your own, it's a lot. And so I hope that she's able to find a balance with her kids now that they're older and they can kind of see what it takes, especially her daughter because she has children. But I hope that her and her son can mend things because it breaks my heart when I see the dynamic of the parent being broken because the parent just had to go to work and they had to take care of like life for those children and take care of them because kids are not free and having to pay for those things, and maybe there wasn't always time to go to every baseball game, and some people don't know how to get over that. Now there's a difference between that and just being like a cold nurturing mother running the streets. Now go Shay, we're gonna have some questions because the Roger Bob situation, but we want to know, like, if it wasn't the nurturing thing based on you just being like a cold individual or not being a person that was loving or not being a mom that was loving, and it was just based off of the fact that you solely just couldn't be there because you had to work two jobs or hustle to make sure that your kids, ate and stuff like that, I wonder how parents sort of mend those situations. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this dynamic. Child, so let's get to the happenings of this Clatchet tea party because that's really where all of the stuff started jumping off. So we finally get to the day of Malaysia having this tea party because really the only other thing they talked about prior to the tea party was Malaysia sitting down with Crystal to talk about her being nervous about the girls getting together. It was the same old, and ultimately, again, the pool party and whether or not she talked to Manyetta. Girl, if Manyetta is not going to be on the show, are y'all going to introduce Manyetta later on in the season? Because we are tired of hearing about it. Let it go. She wasn't the main character on RHOA and not one really in the dynamic of this show, and yet y'all keep bringing it up all the time. So fast forward, we finally get to the day of the tea party. Everybody shows up. I honestly only like Gaucher's outfit the best. I think everybody else is dressed pretty much plain Jane, honey. It was like the blind lead the blind when it came to the fashion thing. Crystal's outfit was cute, but it was too short in terms of the fact that her booty butt cheeks was out when she got out the car. And I know that they showed that on purpose. But everybody else was just dressed pretty plain Jane. So when Tamika later on complained about coming out the house and wasting the outfit, I was like, girl, you could have kept it inside and we wouldn't really care. Anyway, fast forward, the ladies are sitting down. Finally, Malaysia got what she wanted. Everybody showed up. There's chicken wings on 3 serving plates and some champagne flutes with juice and Hennessy, and it's all flowing. A lot of ladies want to know what's happening with the tea. Why isn't there any? Why isn't there enough food, honey? I don't know what the setup of the situation was, but the little place is cute, so it is what it is. It is what it is. Fast forward, they start having a conversation because Malaysia asked Crystal to come up with a game that the women can play while they are at the tea party, and she said it's called Spill the Tea, but it's not as messy as you would think. So it actually ended up being really cute in concept, but these ladies was not trying to keep it cute. So the theory is that the tea party, she's going to throw some preconceived notions that the women have had about them via online and different things like that, or even with each other, and then pull it out the hat, and then they have to guess who the person was. Now they did this at Kenya baby daughter baby shower, no birthday party, Little Brooklyn, and that did not work out well. But they're gonna try it again, honey. So anyway, they fast forward, they start asking the questions around the table. And the first one that comes out is like somebody thinks somebody is mean. Um, They actually end up attributing it to either Gaucher and Malaysia, who both said that they've had the label before, but it's not them. Crystal actually says she's the one that put it in there, and that actually it's her, because she gets that a lot of flack from people online that she's mean and like she likes to fight and aggressive. And she says she's the furthest thing from that. She's actually a girl's girl. She really enjoys going out and having a good time, and she likes to be, drama free. She's a little ratchet. At least she's honest about herself. I can't front. I really do like her personality because it feels authentic, and she's just herself. Whether or not she's your cup of tea, no pun intended, is its own thing. So then they fast forward to it being a bougie situation, and when they go around the room, they mentioned Tamika, they mentioned somebody else, and then they mentioned Princess. It was Princess that actually put it in there, that was a preconceived notion people had about her. Girl, we didn't even remember who you were completely until this episode. I do remember what she was, but Princess was always Princess was always a background person, so I'm not really sure why we thought she was bougie, because we didn't really completely know you. So she basically says that it was just a way for her to tell a story mostly, and that she used to be a part of Real Housewives of Atlanta because she was the person that came up with the concept of having this all Black housewives show in Atlanta. Like, obviously Real Housewives of Beverly Hills was out, and Princess felt like, hey, there's a Black version of that, and they live in Atlanta. And she mentioned it to a producer, I'm assuming this is Carlos King. They then talked about it more. Within 2 weeks they were at a Bravo talking with them, and then next thing you know, Real Housewives of Atlanta was born. So she says that people always associate her with that. She says she's an entrepreneur, as she's saying the bougie part, because Gaucher goes, what do you do? And I'm thinking to myself, Princess, you came on here and said that there was like 2 or 3 things you also did in addition to the dental practice. Why didn't you bring that up? Like, why did you just bring up that Real Housewives of Atlanta thing? Is this the only claim to fame? I don't understand. Like, I thought she had like 3 businesses. So this is very confusing. Fast forward, they asked the question again about being bougie. Gaucher gets the concept, as well as Tamika. Now, mind you, this whole entire little tea party, Gaucher is not feeling Tamika, because when they first started it, they knew that Malaysia was going to address the issue regarding Tamika and Crystal in the pool party. But they talked first about the fact that Tamika was a little tipsy at the party and things like that. And they asked her about what happened with Kyle, because she asked everybody that they signed the petition regarding Lake Lanier. And she does state that, hey, yes, we did sign the petition. And they ask her what happened. Of course, she tells them that Kyle was on the inner tube and he got hit with a jet ski, and of course the drowning occurred. So she said he was in a coma for 2 weeks, and then he, died. And they mentioned that part. And I understand the way she told it at this point. Is this old hat, because she's been telling it for a while. So you just get used to telling the details of stuff. And I'm glad they kind of moved on to not dig too deep into it, because it's got to be painful every time she has to tell that story, because her baby is gone. And then they talk about the fact that during the pool party, what Malaysia didn't like is that Tamika apologized immediately. And I thought when I went back and saw it, I did realize that she did apologize, and she got up and also removed herself from the party completely. She knew she was tipsy. She knew she had said too much. She apologized for being in her business and was like, hey, I should go. This was wrong. I shouldn't have been in your business, and got and left. Crystal agrees that she did appreciate that she apologized right away, but it was just still weird energy, but she had no issue with it. But Gaucher is not having that, girl. She's letting it be known that, look, I am not here for it. I feel like Tamika gets tons of passes. There's clearly a axe to dig. And she's like, look, she gets passes for being messy. I don't like it. It's fake and phony. Like, I don't feel like the energy is real. So Gaucher was gunning for her the entire time. So when they got to the other card and she said bougie, Tamika says, well, look, I've been called bougie since I was a kid. It is what it is. I don't think I am. I think I'm down to earth. I think I'm cool. I think I like to have a good time. I will curse a bitch out. I will fight a bitch, but I also am very much a person that's very chill. I'm not on the bougie end, and maybe I am, and I don't really care. Gaucher's still not feeling that. So that ends up being the majority of the conversation, because as they're talking through things, Gaucher cannot understand how Tamika was so driven at the party to ask Crystal all these questions, because essentially she's like, did she mess with Usher? Like, what's the problem, girl? And then she's like, ultimately you keep your life like it's a situation, like, so she's like, well, maybe if we dig into her stuff. So she asked Tamika, like, how did you get with Usher, and how did y'all break up? And so Tamika's like, well, wait, where's all this coming from? Like, this don't make no sense. And so she starts to explain how her and Usher met, which we know this story. It's not actually that original. They told it back in the day. They told it during their wedding special. They told it during the Essence article. They told it during a bunch of times. So it's not that unique. They worked together for many, many years. She was his stylist. She knew him from the industry in general. They just spent a lot of time together all the time. We know Usher likes to date an older woman, like it's, mommy Oedipus complex. We could talk about it. But essentially, they got together based on the fact that they were close and they were best friends. Usher has reiterated the same thing over and over again. As a result, they ended up getting married. This was his first marriage. And they were married for a while, I think like over 2 or 3 years. And then ultimately, they ended up breaking up. Now, they asked Tamika, why did they break up? Or Gaucher really asked. And she said she doesn't know. But Gaucher, fast forward in the green screen, ends up pulling out Tamika's book. It ultimately talks about the bridesmaid. Y'all, why did I forget that part of the story? I totally forgot that Tamika and that bridesmaid story. And they did go ahead and put that on Oprah. Oprah used to cover all the shit. Oprah did get that interview where Tamika had said that her bridesmaid and Usher had slept together, and that's why. And we're not really shocked by that because we know that Usher was out here with many of the ladies all of the time, to the point of the free clinic being a part of the situation. Anyway, fast forward, they broke up because of the bridesmaid thing. Gaucher reads it from Tamika's book, The Shade of It All. And ultimately, that is the reason why they're not together anymore. They go on to say they think Tamika still loves him. I absolutely agree. And he's obviously kept her in diamonds and gold, along with the, whatever else she does for a living. So they get into it back and forth, and Gaucher is going in, honey. She's not letting it. Even Chris is like, look, girl, we done already made up. Why are you still focusing on this? So she's like, I just feel like we don't know enough about the situation. And I feel like, she kind of gets away with so much. I just don't like the dynamic of it. So it's clear that Gaucher and Tamika are going to be enemies maybe in this season, because Tamika doesn't understand why Gaucher is going in so hard and so focused on her. And uh Malaysia is not expecting this to go the way that it went, but it went that way. We are enjoying it. That was pretty much the end of the episode. Y'all let me know what y'all think, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Don't forget to like the video, please. And I will talk to y'all next time. Bye.